Hi everyone, I'm Allison Freyberg and welcome to Lecture 6, APA Formatting Essentials. Let's dive in. First thing, everything starts here. APA has an absolutely amazing site that is very easy to navigate, and I highly recommend you go there. Pretty much everything you could ever want is on it. And everything is explained well and laid out well. Okay, this is a live link. So if you have the PDF, if you have access to the PDF of this deck of our learning guide here, then go ahead and click on that link and that'll take you to the APA page. Let's start off right at the beginning. What is APA format and why do we have to use it? When we talk about documentation styles, we're really just saying, hey, we're working with the ideas that have come before us. And in order to do that, we have to signal that those are other people's ideas that we're working with. And if we're going to find a way to contribute to that conversation, we first have to acknowledge who's talking. And APA is simply one of the documentation styles. There are many that allow us to organize and structure our papers. APA does tend to be used in the social sciences, and since those of you out there are likely taking a course from me in the School of Business, business is a social science, so I teach APA. You may be more familiar with MLA format. MLA format is for the humanities. It's predominant in the humanities. And chances are you took your writing course in an English department, and English is part of the humanities. So that's why you were generally taught MLA. But there are dozens of documentation styles. So I'll try to guide you through some of the essentials of formatting in this lecture, and then we'll have another lecture on in-text citations and another lecture on references pages. Okay? There are APA templates all over the place. Use them. There's some in Word, in most text editors. You can download them. Use them. Absolutely. Just remember that you're in charge of the quality control, right? You need to make sure it's right. So always pay attention to that. And that's why we're doing a little overview. If you go to that APA site, you're going to see, and here's the live link for you if you want, you're going to see when you click on paper format, this chart. So as you can see, anything you'd want to know about formatting a paper, right here. But I'll take you through some basics. All papers have a title page, text, like the body of the paper, and a references page. Okay? And they should kind of be organized in this order. Not kind of. They should be organized in this order. Title page is first. Then there's an abstract. Now, abstracts are not included in a student paper unless requested. Okay, so if your instructor asks you to do an abstract, do an abstract. Otherwise, don't worry about the abstract. And later on, actually, near the end of the course, I'm going to have a lecture on introductions, conclusions, and abstracts. Then there's the body of your paper, the text. Then there's your references. That's the list of works that appear in the text, in the body of your paper. Then if you have tables, you can put them there. You can have figures, put them there. Now you can have tables and figures in the body of your text as well. Okay. And we'll talk about that as we move through the course. Appendices come after that. And please remember 1-inch margins all around. If you make your margins 1.5 inches, we know, okay? So just use your default with your text editor. If you're using Word, if you're using Pages, or whatever you're using, Google Docs, there's a default 1-inch margin. Please just use that. Okay. You can find an annotated student paper right here. This is a live link. You can go to it and you can see a sample paper with all sorts of annotations from APA on it about what's where and why. So I highly recommend you do that. Right here, there's the live link. Title pages. Now, for those of you who learned the earlier 6th or 5th editions of the APA, you'll be very happy to know about one revision made for the 7th edition. And that is right here. The only thing you need in that header is a page number. There's no such thing as running head anymore or shortened versions of titles or anything like that. Those are all older editions. So the new edition, you'll see right here, unless requested by your instructor, which is always the caveat, right? The running head is not required on student papers anymore. Page number, okay? Then you have the paper title, and you'll see that that's in bold. And then you have the writer, that's you. And then the affiliation, yours would be University of Redlands. The course, our course, the instructor's name. FYI, always a good idea to spell the instructor's name right. And then the date. Okay, that's it. That's all you need. It should kind of look like this. You notice there's a little double space between the title and the author here. So keep that in mind. Okay. If you want to see title page, here's a live link. You can go to the APA. Spacing. Line spacing. Everything is double spaced. Everything is double spaced. Everything is double spaced. Except, because there's always an exception, right? That title page, which we just talked about, right? The space between the title and the name of the author, so your name, then there's an extra double space. And everything else is mostly for tables and figures and equations. Basically, tables and figures you can do single spaced, and equations you can spread them out to triple or quadruple space because equations can get kind of cumbersome. Quotations, however, are double spaced. Everything, references pages are double spaced. Everything is double spaced except these things. Now, it doesn't matter that you probably can't read this because that's not the point. It's just a sample. We want to talk about how you're going to format paragraphs. The first thing is you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, don't use full justification. You want these edges to be ragged. This look is what's called ragged. Okay? If it's justified, it means everything lines up and then your spacing is off. Just your default is not going to be full justification. Please don't change it. Okay? You need to indent the first line of each paragraph. See this? Okay, now some of you are probably really used to business memos and business writing where there is no indent. In academic writing, there is an indent. There's actual paragraphs with an indented first line. Okay, here's another one. Section labels and level 1 headings are going to be centered. And then your subheadings, oops, tables and figures are flush left. Oops, let's hang on a sec. But your subheadings here, you'll see are going to be flush left as well. A line left. See that? Okay. So this is like a main section, and these are your subheadings under those sections. Okay. I'll take a moment here, a little tangent. You don't need to over subhead everything. Okay. Your writing should actually create a good pathway for a reader. So if you've got a 10-page, let's say you've got a 5-page paper and you've got 8 subheadings, you're not getting into depth on anything. You can think of a subheading as changing the topic. If you're changing the topic 8 or 10 times in a 5-page paper, how much depth are you getting in that paper? We'll talk about that stuff later on, but I just wanted to introduce it here. And the references list, which we will go over in great depth later on. And I promise you that will be terribly boring, but ultimately necessary. Here are some essentials just in the formatting, right? And again, you can use Zotero, you can use any kind of citation software you want. You just need to make sure that you make sure it's right. Okay, because there's always little things you need to correct. Here are some basics. Start your references page on a new page. It should be your last page. Right? Oh, unless you've got tables and figures and appendices afterwards. But the last page of the body of your paper. The references pages are alphabetized by last name, of course. They are double spaced. You can see that. Everything's double spaced, even here. You align left, and then you use a hanging indent for the second lines. Okay? If you're using a text editor, you just look up hanging indent, and it'll show you how to do that. And we'll go over it in class. You want some paper formats? There you go, right? That's what it's going to look like. See, I mean, I know you can't read it. That's not the point here. But you can see they have all these callouts to explain what's going on where. So please, please, please have a look at this. Don't let it overwhelm you. Take it one step at a time. We're breaking down APA into 3 different sessions, 3 different lectures. For now, we just want to get title page, body, references page, get the basics down of formatting. Okay. We'll go over this more in class, and there'll be more APA down the line. I'll see you in the next lecture.